You know what's funny, Conrad? People keep telling me that first love is just a phase, like a summer that fades when the leaves turn brown. But every time I try to believe that, I hear your voice in my head, and suddenly it's summer again. Tell me, does that sound like something that ever truly ends?
Maybe not. Maybe first love doesn't end, but it changes. It grows quiet. It hides behind other things. You stop waiting for their texts, stop rereading old messages. But then, some song, some smell, some memory, it hits you, and you realize you've just been pretending to move on. That's the cruel part.
So you're saying first love never dies?
I'm saying it dies and resurrects, over and over. Every time you think you've buried it, something digs it back up. But maybe that's not love. Maybe that's guilt, or nostalgia, or the ghost of what we wanted it to be.
You always do that. Turn something beautiful into something heavy. You can't admit it. That first love stays because it was real. It's not nostalgia, Conrad. It's the one thing that felt pure before life got messy.
Pure? Belly, we were kids. We thought love meant staying up till 3 a.m. talking about nothing. We thought jealousy was proof of care. We thought if it hurt, it was deep. But real love, the kind that lasts, it's not built on chaos.
But that chaos taught us something. It shaped us. You think you can erase the first person who ever made your heart race? Whoever made you question who you are? Maybe it wasn't perfect. Maybe it hurt like hell, but it mattered.
I'm not denying that. You'll always remember your first love, but remembering isn't the same as still being in it. There's a difference between a scar and a wound. One is healed, the other is still bleeding.
But what if it never fully heals? What if you don't want it to? You talk like love should be practical, logical, but the kind of love we had, the kind that leaves you sleepless, stupid, terrified, it doesn't fade because you outgrow it. It stays because it became part of you.
Then maybe that's the problem, Belly. Maybe we let love define us when it was supposed to teach us. You held on to me like losing me would mean losing yourself. And I held back because I didn't know how to love without destroying what we had left.
You didn't hold back. You shut me out. You built walls and called it protection. You made me feel like I was asking for too much when all I wanted was honesty.
I wasn't protecting you from me. I was protecting you from what love does to people like me. You think I didn't want to choose you? I did, every damn day. But I also knew that my love came with storms, and you deserved peace.
Peace without you felt like silence. You think you were saving me, but you were breaking me in a slower way. And even now, years later, I still can't decide if I hate you for leaving or love you for trying to save me.
Maybe both can be true. Maybe that's what first love does. It splits you between memory and reality. Half of you wants to go back, the other half knows you can't.
But if it's truly over, why are we still here, talking about it? Why do you still look at me like you're remembering something sacred?
Because sacred things deserve to be remembered, not repeated. Belly, I don't deny what we had. I just don't think it was meant to last forever.
That's where you're wrong. First love doesn't have to last to be forever. It leaves fingerprints, not chains. Maybe we don't end up together. Maybe we grow apart. But that doesn't mean the love ever ends. It becomes the foundation of every other love after it.
You sound like you've made peace with it?
Maybe I have. Maybe that's what time does. It doesn't erase first love. It transforms it into something bittersweet. I can talk to you now without shaking. I can think of you without crying. That's not an ending. That's evolution.
You think evolution is painless? We lost each other in the process. Maybe that's the price.
Then it was worth it. Because for all the heartbreak, I'd still choose to love you first, even knowing it wouldn't last.
You would?
I would, because you don't forget your first language, Conrad. And love, you were the first one who taught me how to speak it.
Then maybe first love doesn't end. It just stops needing to be spoken aloud.
Or maybe it just waits, somewhere between what we were and what will never be. You know, people say time heals everything, but sometimes I think time just teaches you how to hide it better. It doesn't take the ache away, it just changes its rhythm. Some nights it's silent, other nights it screams.
I know. Time didn't heal me either. It just made me quieter about it. You learn not to say their name every time a song plays, not to look for them in a crowd. But even in silence, the memory hums underneath everything else, like background noise.
Exactly. That's what no one understands. When they say move on, they make it sound like forgetting is a choice. But how do you forget the person who taught you what love even feels like?
You don't forget, you redefine. You build a life around the ache instead of against it. The danger is mistaking that ache for something alive, when maybe it's just the echo of what used to be.
You make it sound like love's an infection you have to outgrow.
Maybe it is. The first one always burns the deepest because you have nothing to compare it to. After that, you build antibodies. You learn how to survive heartbreak without dying from it.
That's such a you thing to say. Clinical, distant, safe. But love was never supposed to be safe. The best parts of us came from the risks we took. You can call it an infection. I call it becoming alive for the first time.
Being alive and being destroyed can feel the same when you're young. You fall too fast, too hard, and you think that's depth, but real depth comes later, when you can love someone without needing them to save you.
Maybe, but you were the first person who ever made me feel like I could be loved at all. That kind of thing doesn't just vanish. You carry it with you, even when it hurts.
You think I don't? You think I haven't carried you through every version of myself since? There are days I convince myself I'm over it. Then something as small as the smell of sea salt or the color of a sundress, and it's like, boom, back to 17, back to you.
So you admit it. It never truly ends.
It doesn't end, but it stops owning you. There's a difference. I can remember loving you without wanting to go back. That's how I know I've grown.
Grown or gone numb? Because sometimes I think people confuse healing with forgetting how to feel. I don't want to forget. Even if it aches, it's still part of me.
You always loved too honestly, too completely. That's what scared me. You gave all of yourself, and I didn't know how to hold that kind of love without breaking it.
I wasn't asking you to hold it forever. I just wanted you to believe in it while we had it. You were always waiting for it to fall apart.
Because I'd already seen how things fall apart. My mom, my family. The world isn't kind to permanence. I didn't want to make promises I couldn't keep.
And I didn't want perfection. I just wanted you. The real you. Messy, scared, distant, and all. But you kept choosing fear over faith.
Maybe because fear lasts longer than faith. It's easier to trust what hurts than what heals. At least pain feels predictable.
That's the saddest thing about you, Conrad. You keep choosing pain like it's armor. But all it's done is make you lonely.
Loneliness is safer than disappointment. You'll learn that someday.
Maybe. But I'd still rather be broken by love than protected by fear. Because even broken, I felt real. With you, I learned what it means to feel everything. That's why I'll never call it a mistake.
I wouldn't either. You were never a mistake, Belly. You were the lesson I didn't know I needed. The one that taught me how fragile hearts can be and how strong they have to become afterward.
Then tell me this. If you could go back knowing it would still end the same way, would you still choose me?
Yes, every single time. Because even though it ended, it made me who I am. But I'd do it differently. I'd tell you what I was feeling instead of expecting you to read my silence.
And I'd stop trying to fix what wasn't mine to fix. Maybe we were meant to meet, just not meant to stay.
That's what I've come to believe too. First love doesn't end because it was wrong. It ends because you need space to become the person who can love right.
So maybe it doesn't die. It just transforms into something else. Gratitude, maybe, or understanding.
Yeah, like the sea after a storm. It still remembers the chaos, but it's calm again. Changed, but not erased.
You and your metaphors.
You and your hope. We were always opposites that way. You built worlds out of feelings. I built walls out of logic.
And somewhere between those worlds and walls, we found love.
And lost it.
But maybe that's what first love is supposed to do. Teach you how to lose without losing yourself.
Or how to hold on without holding too tight.
So you really believe it ends?
I believe it changes shape. It starts as fire, ends as light. Maybe that's its mercy. You don't burn forever. You just glow differently.
That's actually beautiful, Conrad.
Don't sound so surprised.
I'm not. It's just, hearing you say it now, I realize maybe I was never supposed to keep you. Maybe I was just meant to learn from you.
Then we both learned something. You learned to let go. I learned that love isn't supposed to feel like guilt.
And yet, part of me will always wonder, if love can change forms, does that mean it can find its way back?
Maybe. Or maybe first love never truly leaves because it already did what it was meant to. It opened the door. The rest is up to us.
You know what's strange? Every time I think I've outgrown what we had, something small brings it back. The way rain smells on pavement, a half-played song. It's like pieces of us are scattered in the world, waiting to remind me we existed.
Maybe that's the truth of first love. It hides in ordinary things. You can rebuild your life, fall in love again, change your hair, your city, but then you touch something familiar and the past taps you on the shoulder.
So you're saying it never really ends?
I'm saying it stops being present, but never stops being real. The past is like a room you can't live in anymore, but you still peek inside sometimes to see the dust floating in the light.
I like that. But part of me still believes love shouldn't just become a museum. It should breathe, evolve. I don't want our story to be something I visit. I want it to be something that still lives in me.
It does live in you, but maybe not as us. Maybe as strength, as awareness. You loved recklessly, I loved carefully, and somehow both of us learned balance.
Balance feels overrated. Passion's what made it real. Remember how alive everything felt? The world looked sharper. The air felt louder. I miss that version of me.
That version of you was beautiful, but she was burning too fast. You deserved a slower fire, one that warms instead of consumes.
You always make it sound poetic when you talk about leaving, like it was wisdom, not fear.
It was both. Wisdom born out of fear. I was afraid to ruin what was pure between us. I thought if I stepped back, I could save you from me. Turns out, I just saved a version of myself that couldn't exist without you.
So you regret it?
Sometimes. Not because I think we'd made it, but because I didn't fight for clarity. You deserved honesty, not silence.
You know, I used to hate your silence. It made me feel invisible.
But now, looking back, I realize maybe silence is its own kind of confession. Sometimes not saying I love you is the only way to say, I'm not ready.
Exactly. Love requires readiness, not just feeling. We had the feeling, not the readiness. That's why it ended.
But if it ended because of timing, not because of love, doesn't that mean it still exists somewhere, untouched?
Maybe love's like starlight. What you see isn't what exists now. It's what once was, still traveling toward you. You can feel it long after it's gone.
That's the saddest and most beautiful thing you've ever said.
Sadness and beauty usually walk together, especially in love.
You always made me overthink everything. I used to believe love was simple. You love someone, you stay. Now I realize it's a language you never stop learning.
And sometimes the person who taught you the alphabet isn't the one who writes the novel with you.
That's unfairly true. But still, don't you ever wonder, what if we'd met later, after we'd figured ourselves out?
I do. But then it wouldn't have been first love. Part of what made it powerful was how unprepared we were. We didn't know how to guard ourselves. That kind of innocence can't be recreated.
So, first love is strong because it's naive.
Because it's honest. There's no agenda, no comparison. Just the raw, terrifying truth of caring for someone with your whole heart for the first time. That's why it stays. It's the purest version of you that ever loved.
That's the part that hurts, because I'll never love like that again. Not because I can't, but because I know too much now.
That's not loss. That's growth. You'll love differently, but deeper. You'll understand boundaries, patience, self-respect. That's what first love leaves behind. Not a wound, but wisdom.
And what did you learn?
That distance isn't the same as peace. I learned that walking away doesn't make feelings disappear. It just turns them into shadows that follow you everywhere. I learned that love isn't measured by how long it lasts, but by how honestly you feel it while it's there.
And I learned that loving someone doesn't mean you're meant to keep them. Sometimes you mean you set them free, even if you never stop hoping they'll find their way back.
We sound like two philosophers who can't admit they're still haunted.
Maybe we are, but what's haunting if not proof that something once mattered deeply?
Then maybe the haunting is the answer. First love doesn't end, it just changes the kind of ghost it becomes.
And what kind is ours?
The kind that doesn't scare you anymore. The kind that just watches from a distance, quietly proud of who you became.
You know, for years, I thought closure meant forgetting you. Now I realize closure means forgiving both of us. You for leaving, and me for needing you to stay.
Forgiveness is the last stage of love, Belly. Once you forgive, you don't have to stop loving. You just stop bleeding.
That's exactly what it feels like now. The wound isn't gone, but it doesn't ache the same. Sometimes I even smile when I think of us.
Then we did something right, after all. If first love can turn into peace, maybe that's its true ending, or its continuation.
Maybe there's no difference. Maybe first love never ends because it becomes part of your peace.
You always manage to find light in the ruins.
And you always manage to make ruins sound poetic. Maybe that's why we worked. And why we couldn't.
Because we were two different ways of remembering the same thing.
You remember it like a scar. I remember it like sunlight.
Both fade slowly, but never completely.
So maybe that's the answer to our question. First love doesn't end. It just becomes quieter, softer, wiser.
Or maybe it ends in the way summer does, not by vanishing, but by leaving traces that make autumn beautiful.
You know, sometimes I think about what love really means. Everyone says it's about staying, about forever.
But what if it's really about impact? About who changes you, even if they don't stay?
Then maybe we did love right, after all. We didn't last, but we left marks. We grew. You're not the same girl who used to chase me down the beach, and I'm not the same boy who thought distance was strength.
No, you're not. You're calmer now. Sadder, maybe, but also wiser. I used to think love was supposed to save us. Now I think it's supposed to shape us.
That's the irony. First love breaks you open so the real lessons can seep in. You think it's the ending, but it's just the introduction to who you'll become.
Then maybe we were the opening chapter, the one people remember because it taught them how the story begins.
And every chapter after carries a piece of it, even if the characters change.
It's strange, isn't it? How something so intense can become so gentle over time. I used to cry every night thinking about losing you. Now I can talk about it and feel grateful.
That's growth. When you can look back at the pain and see beauty instead of bitterness, that's how you know it never truly ended. It just evolved.
Do you ever miss it? Us?
All the time. But not in a way that hurts. It's like missing a song you used to play on repeat. You don't need to hear it again to remember how it made you feel. Sometimes the memory is enough.
I used to replay everything. Every look, every word, every mistake. I thought if I understood where it went wrong, maybe I could fix it. But maybe it wasn't meant to be fixed. Maybe it was meant to teach me what not to lose next time.
Exactly. First love teaches you how to hold something fragile, even if you drop it. And the next time, your hands are steadier.
But there's always that fear, isn't there? That nothing will ever compare to that first fire.
There won't be another fire like it, but there will be warmth again. It just burns differently. Slower. Safer. Maybe even deeper.
I used to think I wanted safe. Now I think I just want real. The kind that doesn't need to be perfect, just honest.
Real love is quieter. It doesn't chase or prove. It simply stays. That's something only time can teach. You can't learn it when you're 17 and everything feels like forever.
We thought we were unbreakable back then. Turns out, love isn't about not breaking. It's about what you do after you do.
You rebuild. You forgive. You learn that endings don't mean the story was a lie. Some stories are short because they're meant to be remembered, not relived.
You always make heartbreak sound philosophical.
Maybe that's how I survive it, by turning pain into meaning. If I didn't, it would just be loss.
And for me, it's memory. I keep it alive through remembering, through feeling it, even when I shouldn't.
Maybe that's what makes you braver than me. You don't run from the past. You face it.
But you carry it too. I see it in you, even now. The way you pause before saying something real, like you're afraid words might open old doors.
Maybe they would. But maybe some doors need to stay cracked open, just enough to remind you where you came from.
Then I hope you never close that door completely. Not because I want you to walk through it again, but because I want you to remember the light that once came through it.
I'll remember. Always. Because no matter how many times I try to define love, it always leads back to that summer. To you.
And no matter how much I grow, there'll always be a version of me who's still that girl, standing barefoot by the shore, waiting for you to look back.
I looked back, Belly. Every time. I just didn't know how to stay.
I know. That's what makes it real. Because love doesn't always end in staying. Sometimes it ends in understanding.
And we understand each other now, don't we?
We do. Finally.
Maybe that's what the ending of first love really is. Not distance, not silence, but understanding.
Then maybe first love never truly ends. It just matures into something we stop needing to define.
A memory that doesn't ache anymore.
A feeling that no longer asks for proof.
A ghost that doesn't haunt, it hums.
Softly, like the sound of the sea at night.
Always with the ocean metaphors.
Because that's what we were. A tide. We came in strong, beautiful, unstoppable. But even the tide has to return home.
And yet, it always finds its way back again. Not the same water, but the same rhythm. Maybe that's us. Changed, but still connected by the same rhythm.
Maybe so. And maybe that's what first love really is. Not a single chapter, but the undercurrent of every story after.
Then let it be that. Not an ending, not a forever. Just a quiet rhythm that reminds us we once loved deeply, even if we had to let go.
That's enough for me.
Me too. So, can first love ever truly end?
No, it doesn't end. It just finds a gentler place to live.